Cupcakes with Sally Ride. Written by Kyla Steinkraus, illustrated by Katie Wood. The Cupcake King. This is yummy, Fiona said. She stuck her finger in the frosting and licked it. Her brother Finley pulled his cupcake away. No fair! Stop eating my cupcakes! I need them for the bake sale. Finley's nickname was Cupcake King. He baked the best cupcakes in the whole world. Finley and Fiona's mom and dad owned the sweets shop. It was a bakery with old-fashioned treats like molasses cookies, cider cake, and rhubarb tarts. After school, the kids helped make wonderful desserts. Finley was a year older than Fiona, but Fiona was just as tall. She could do anything Finley could do, almost. She couldn't make cupcakes as delicious as Finley could. It's not fair, Fiona said with a sigh. I want to be the cupcake queen. Too bad, Finley said. I'm the king because I'm the boy. Boys are the best at everything. That's not true. Fiona frowned at her brother. Take it back. Nope, Finley said, grinning. He took a huge bite of his cupcake. Just then, the bell over the side door jingled. Look at the time, their pet parrot Tick-Tock squawked. He flopped his feathers. A woman with curly brown hair walked in. She wore a blue spacesuit. I came for a cupcake, she said. I heard you have the best cupcakes in the whole world. Not the whole world, Fiona muttered. What's wrong? The woman asked. Fiona told her what Finley said. Boys aren't the best just because they're boys, right? Right. Women can do anything. In fact, I'm about to be the first woman to visit outer space. Fiona jumped off her stool. Wowza! You must be Sally Ride, Finley said. We learned about you in school. Sally grinned. Do you want to come see for yourself? Yes, Fiona and Finley yelled together. Mom popped her head around the corner. Have a great time, she waved. The date is June 18th, 1983, Sally Ride said. We're going to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Hold on tight. The kids ran for the side door. See you soon, Tick-Tock squawked. The big lunch. The sweet shop began to spin. It felt like being inside a washing machine. Fiona loved it. Finley hated it. His face turned green. Wowza! Fiona gasped. The world stopped spinning. They were sitting inside the space shuttle, and they wore blue spacesuits just like Sally. Buckle up, Sally said. This is the Challenger space shuttle. It's 30 stories tall. She introduced the kids to the rest of the crew. This is Norman, Robert, Frederick, and John. The men waved and said hello. Sally closed the visor on their helmets. Fiona and Finley breathed through the oxygen supply in their spacesuits. Ready for outer space? She asked. Finley's heart pounded in his chest. Fiona could barely breathe. 10 seconds before liftoff, the countdown began. 10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1, Fiona said excitedly. The rockets lit. A loud rumbling roar filled the shuttle. The sound was deafening. The shuttle launched into the air. It went faster and faster. Fiona and Finley's heads rattled inside their helmets. The engines and the rockets thundered in their ears. It was so loud, Finley had to turn down his hearing aid. Finley swallowed. Was everything working properly? What if something went wrong? Finley thought. Up, up, and up they went. They flew past the clouds. I can't move, Fiona shouted. Sally laughed. The force of 3 Gs, 3 times the force of the gravity we feel on Earth, is pushing us back against our seats. It will be over soon. After 2 rumbling, roaring minutes, it suddenly became quiet and smooth. What happened? Finley asked. The rocket boosters are empty. They broke away from the shuttle. They'll glide back to Earth with parachutes. But not us, Finley breathed. We're not going back to Earth. 8 minutes after the shuttle launched, the engines cut off. The force was gone. Sally's book and pencils floated in midair. All gravity was gone, even the normal gravity from Earth. We're in orbit now, Sally said, 160 miles above the Earth, floating in outer space. Fiona and Finley unstrapped their seatbelts. They floated too. Fiona drifted around the cabin, bumping into the walls. Finley sat on the ceiling. He laughed so hard he had to hold his stomach. Fiona looked out the windows and gasped. Earth was a huge, spinning ball beneath them. The oceans were a beautiful ball, the deserts bright orange. They could see mountains and canyons and whole oceans. A beautiful sunrise rose over the edge of the planet. I'm hungry, Finley said. Wait, how do we eat? Sally handed them each a squishy pouch and a spoon. Fiona opened it up and tasted it. Not too bad. We eat all our meals this way. Our food has to be sticky or it will float away. Fiona laughed. It was funny to think about escaping food. Finley shook his head. No cupcakes in space. How sad. What about sleeping? Fiona asked. We can anchor our feet, attach ourselves to the wall, or sleep floating. Wowza, Fiona whispered. I wish I could float sleep at home. What about brushing your teeth? We use toothpaste that we don't spit out, Sally said. That would be gross, huh? Fiona made a face. It's a good thing NASA thinks about this stuff ahead of time. Finley floated over to the window. Didn't the sun just rise a little while ago? Sally grinned. We'll get to see a sunrise and a sunset every 90 minutes for the next 6 days, 2 hours, and 24 minutes that we're in space. Fiona pushed off the wall with her feet. It felt like flying. How did you become an astronaut? One day I saw a notice in the newspaper from NASA. They wanted people to become astronauts. I applied that very day. Was it hard? Finley asked. Oh, yes. I took many tests. Out of 8,000 people, I was one of 35 chosen. Once I was picked, I went through a year of training. I learned to fly a jet and jump with a parachute. I learned all about how the space shuttle worked. Wowza, Fiona said. Do you just float around all day? Finley crossed his legs in the air. He could get used to this. I'm a flight engineer and a mission specialist. We have many jobs. We'll release satellites. We'll conduct experiments in space. We'll study how gravity affects the behavior of carpenter ants. And we'll research how plants grow without gravity. So you're a scientist and an astronaut? Finley asked. Yep. See, Finley. Fiona stuck out her tongue. Girls can be the best, too. Finley tapped his hearing aid. I can't hear you. Yes, you can. Don't make me float over there. Finley laughed. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry for what I said, Fiona. You can be the best astronaut. But what? Fiona asked. I'm going to be the best baker in space. Outer space needs the Cupcake King. Sally Ride rubbed her stomach. Speaking of cupcakes, let's go back to the sweet shop. I really want to try one of your famous cupcakes, Finley. As everything began to spin and shake, Fiona looked at planet Earth one last time. It was beautiful. See you soon, she whispered. About Sally Ride. Sally Ride was born on May 26, 1956 in Encino, California. Her parents raised her to study hard and do her best. Sally loved to read, play sports, and learn about science. She also loved outer space. In college, she majored in physics and competed in tennis tournaments. In 1978, she earned her PhD. When she read a notice from NASA in her college newspaper, she applied to become an astronaut. After many tests, interviews, and training, she became an astronaut in 1979. On June 18, 1983, at 7:33 a.m., Sally Ride became the first American woman to enter space on the Challenger. During the 6 days in space, the Challenger orbited Earth 97 times. When they returned, Sally refused any interviews that didn't include her entire crew. On October 5, 1984, Sally Ride launched into space one more time. They launched a satellite that would help scientists predict long-range weather forecasts. After leaving NASA, Sally became a physics professor in San Diego, California. She is also the director of the California Space Institute.